All right. Hey, everyone. Since we're recording this, I'm not going to wait a couple minutes for everybody to join. We're just going to get kicked right off here. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining our webinar. Today, we're going to show you how to build and use an AI toolkit for creator marketing. One of the best things is that everything we're going to show you today can be done with the AI tools that most of us are already using or that have like a very minimal cost associated with them. Nothing to really buy here, just learn. Before we get started, I want to talk through a couple of logistical things. So we will be taking questions. This is live. We'll be taking questions primarily at the end of the workshop, but we also may address some of the things live as we're going through the different skill areas. So there's a Q&A button in Zoom that'll allow you to submit your questions, and we'll either get to them live or at the end of the workshop. We'll have about 15 minutes at the end. Additionally, the chat is open, so if you want to, wave and say hi to other people or, comment or chat, feel free to do that. We also have some folks from our team in attendance there who'll be moderating that chat as well. So feel free to use that. And finally, the answer is yes. We will be sending out the recording of this webinar to all of you. I'll try and get it out by tomorrow, so no need to take screenshots, no need to take any notes as we're going through it. You'll have it all for you by tomorrow. Cool. We'll start with a few intros so you can get to know us a little bit better. First, I'm Jason Widup, our interim CMO here at Archive. I've been working with Archive for about the last 6 months, and I've been in B2B marketing for around, I don't want to date myself, about 20 years now. My time at Archive, though, has been like really interesting and has definitely helped me change the way that I work. So I now spend most of my day with my buddy Claude, and I've really learned a lot about how to best apply AI to my role by working with the guest that we have here today, our CEO and co-founder, Paul Benigeri. So, Paul, you want to say a couple words before we kick off?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. Super excited to talk about a few AI things here. My background was initially in AI. I studied AI and computer science at Stanford University and then started a couple of brands, including Ketone IQ, ketone.com. We grew that brand largely through influencer and creator marketing. And that's how I got a ton of experience working with creators, everything from YouTube to gifting to paid sponsorship, all of that stuff. And here we are at Archive today, building technology to automate the most manual parts of creator marketing. One of the things that I've been very excited about across the creator marketing work we're doing, but across all parts of our business, is how to leverage AI to build systems and to be more productive. I'm always doing workshops with my team, sharing notes with my team around how to use the latest and greatest technology, Claude, Codex, Gemini, and many more things. And we're very excited to share learnings with the rest of the community here. I see a couple of friendly folks in the chat, like Vanessa, Tim, hello. Really encourage everyone to ask questions. We'll try to make things as interactive as possible. So pop in and say hello.
Cool, cool. All right. Before I turn it over to Paul to kick off the workshop, just wanted to take a minute to let you know a little bit about Archive. Archive gives creator marketing teams complete visibility into what your community creates and the tools to act on it. We have an AI native platform that captures every mention, discovers the right creators, tracks performance, and helps you prove ROI of all of your creator programs. We also work with over 1,000 companies, including some of the top creator brands and direct-to-consumer companies in the space. If you'd like to learn more about us, take a stroll through our website. You can find us at archive.com. Cool. All right. With that said, I'm going to stop sharing here and turn it over to Paul. Take it away.
Great. Let me share my screen as well so that we can get started too. Awesome. For today's agenda, we're going to start off with a primer on the three most important technologies that we use on a day-to-day basis. And then we're going to talk about the different primitives across all of them. We've got chat, projects, co-work, and then skills, and how to think about evolving your AI skills across the stack. I want to talk a couple of minutes around dictation, which is critical for productivity. And then we'll go with two examples of how to use different skills to be more productive and get real creative marketing work done. We're going to use Gemini to create an easy way to review influencer videos very quickly. and do it in a way that's going to scale for our campaigns that we can use over and over again. And we're going to look at how we can use Claude to analyze UGC data, which is going to be helpful for campaign recaps and a lot more. There are three main companies right now. They're called the labs that have built amazing foundation models. The way to think about models, ChatGPT is a model. We've got now 5.5. We've got Codex as a model. Claude, another lab. AI lab makes a few different models, including Opus, Sonnet, and then we've got Gemini from Google. There are those different sets of models. And those models are essentially intelligence in a box. In the past, you'd be able to delegate simple math or simple tasks to a computer, but now you can delegate intelligence to a graphics card, essentially, a computer, to do thinking and real work. And so we can essentially use computers, models, computers are really similar, just an evolution, to do work. But what's becoming tricky is that these models are going to be good for different things. For example, Gemini, out of the three models, is the only one that can understand and watch videos, which means that if we want to do anything with videos, we have to use Gemini. It's an important distinction. ChatGPT has really great consumer tools. It's really great at understanding shopping. It's got some great integrations. It's got some great projects. It's got a great chat, and it's got so many people. And therefore, it can be really great for personal tasks, for research, and for a lot of different things. And then we've got Claude, which is growing extremely quickly in the enterprise because it's gotten so good at helping people do knowledge work. It's really important that we understand our tools for work. And the only way to do this is to join sessions like these where people share information, but also use them yourself. One of the best tips that I can share here is when you're doing a task and you want to try it, and maybe your default is ChatGPT, well, run it in parallel. Once in ChatGPT, once in Claude, once in Gemini. And you'll start to understand how these models and how these tools work differently for different things. And that can help you build taste for what model is going to be good for what platform. Everyone here is pretty smart about creator marketing and likely knows that YouTube is going to be really good for some types of videos and some products, and Instagram stories or reels is going to be good for something else, right? It's obvious. If we're going to do a deep educational video about a technical product, we'll probably want to go on YouTube. If someone from scratch wants to do creator marketing, they might not know that stuff. And that taste, that development is really important to develop as well from a model perspective. If I had to give two recommendations, I would say use Claude for everything you can right now, except for Gemini for videos, until Claude hopefully supports videos. That would be my recommendation to try out. If you haven't used Claude, haven't used Gemini, and have been using ChatGPT, it's a strong recommendation. A lot of companies do not give you access to all three of them. If you work at an enterprise, maybe you have a license for one or two of them. A strong personal recommendation is to invest in your own licenses for those so you can develop taste and understanding of how things work. All of these models are cloning each other and building features. And when you get really good at Gemini, it's only a matter of time before those features come across to ChatGPT and Claude, and you'll understand how to work with those models as well. Next up, we're going to talk about the progression of technology around these models. At the end of the day, these models are really computers and GPUs that can take instructions and generate tokens. Tokens are text output, and now these tokens can create tool calls and PDFs and all kinds of things. But at the end of the day, it's the same thing. You have a bunch of graphics cards that are spinning these models to think and generate output. The first way that these models got adopted is with ChatGPT. And then Anthropic had a chat and Gemini had a chat. And a chat conversation is really simple. You're talking to the model one thing at a time. You can maybe have a couple different chat conversations, but every time you create a new chat, you don't have context being shared. People were saving prompts, copy pasting prompts and things like that, but there wasn't a lot of sharing. The next evolution was projects. ChatGPT has projects, Claude has projects, Gemini has projects as well. And the way to think about projects is still a very similar chat experience. However, it saves a few other files or pieces of information. Like you might have heard of a system prompt that you can save or some additional files. That meant that if you're working on a task over and over again or a project over and over again, you could group all of your information into that project and start reusing and getting value. And that was helpful for quite some time. Most people here have probably started using projects. Then something really exciting happened back in at the end of last year. Claude released this product called Claude Code, and Claude Code has completely changed how developers work. It came up with a couple of new primitives like skills and access to tool calls and just a bunch of new features on top of this chat thing we had in the past. And because of those primitives, we were able to do way deeper work. The amount of high quality work you could do with Claude Code completely changed. Developers got way more productive, but it was kind of scary because you had to use it in the command line and you had to learn how to use the terminal and all kinds of things. However, all of the labs are starting to build more user-friendly tools that have the exact same features that Claude Code, which has gotten so popular, has. Claude's version is called Cowork. So if you have access to Claude and you haven't used Cowork yet, switch over to it for a couple of projects and give it a shot. It still uses the same model, but it has access to a few different tools that make it possible for it to do way more, way better work. And you'd be really surprised at the quality of output just by switching over to Cowork instead of Claude projects. ChatGPT now has Codex. Codex is the same thing. It's an additional set of primitives on top of ChatGPT that you can use in Codex that make it so that Codex can use your computer for your things, it can use your file system for things, and that's really, really productive. Gemini has yet to release one, and once they do, it'll be awesome as well. Next up, we've got skills. We've heard of prompt engineering, right? It was super hot for a long time. And some of your most productive AI colleagues, they probably had a bunch of prompts that they had saved and reused and shared them with you, right? Those are now really called skills. Skills are chunks of prompts that can be reused. In order to get the maximum productivity, you're going to want to start thinking about maintaining your own skills. You can buy skills, use skills, create skills, edit skills, but you want AI to have the maximum amount of context of how you like to do things and your work and how to access your systems. And let's say how you like to vet influencers or how you like to brief influencers. And skills are the way to do it. So if you've never used skills, we'll talk about that today. But that's a big takeaway is try to use skills. If you've never created your own skill or updated your own skills, it's super easy. And it is the best way to essentially train AI to become more and more useful for your work, your personal work that you want to do, and how to get that edge. And we'll show you what that looks like today. Awesome. Now, one of the interesting things, and I joke with my colleagues, I have had to stop listening to music at work because I'm only on Zoom calls or in meetings, or I'm dictating to AI. I used to love listening to music when working, and I can't because I don't have time anymore because I'm dictating all the time. Dictating is really important because the more context you give AI, the more it's going to be able to do your work. You can talk way faster than you can type. And I'll show you a demonstration in a little bit, but I personally use a tool called Super Whisper. There are a couple of other great tools. You might have heard of Whisperflow. You might have heard of Aqua Voice. They're all the same, but it is so critical that you set up dictation on your computer, modern dictation, so that you can dictate to AI. That will massively increase your productivity as well. Once you can speak to AI, you can speak blah, 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 super, super fast and just dump way more information. And it really transforms your experience with AI. So that is something that I encourage everyone to set up today. All right, I'll show a skill in a second because Jake asked if skills are a combination of natural language prompts and engineering language. A lot of skills are just markdown files. They can have a couple of bullet points. It's just a set of prompt instructions that AI can follow. Great. We're going to get started with our first project together. That's going to start tying all of these concepts together and add some value. We're going to take a video that I got from an influencer, and I don't want to watch it, but I got to give the influencer feedback. So we're going to start using AI to make that happen. The first thing is we're going to look at creator marketing skills. We shared a GitHub repo. It's open source. These are all free. They're great starting points for skills you can start using. I'm going to look for the video review one. Video review one. There we go. We've got video content reviewer. Seems scary, but it's literally a bunch of instructions. It's a prompt. You're an experienced creative director. Here's the tone. Here's the context. Here's the info. Here's how to do it. Super straightforward. So we're just going to copy. Literally, we're going to copy this whole file. And there are lots of ways you can use skills. You can have them integrated, or you can copy paste them. It's quite easy. And we're going to go over to Gemini. I really like Gemini again because number one, it's super cheap, by the way. If you guys are doing stuff with APIs, Gemini is really, really cheap. Number two, it works with videos. And because we're in influencer marketing, people are doing a lot of video stuff. And for better or worse, we can only use Gemini. I'm also going to add a file here. I'm going to upload a file, or I'm going to drag it from my downloads folder. And I'm going to paste that in Gemini. That is the wrong file. Let's try again. There we go. This is a talking head video, 1:26 from an influencer. Gemini literally can watch videos. It'll understand the text, the sequencing, and everything. And if we give it a really strong prompt, well, we're going to submit it, and it's going to analyze that for us. Now, while it waits, happy to answer questions. But what's happening right now is instead of me having to type this giant prompt around how to review, my starting point is going to be a really nice skill that I got from this repo. And I just paste it in, and we've got the video. And so we'll scroll down. And as you can see, we've got a scorecard. The hook is authentic but slow. We've got a 3.5 out of 5. Talks about the timing of the product placement being a little bit slow. It takes 40 seconds. That's not great, right? It's got to go faster. So this is great feedback. That's an awesome starting point. Now, what do I got to do next? Well, for AI to be productive, it needs to integrate in my workflows. I'm not going to send the influencer this giant thing. I need to write an email. Well, I've got, this is where I'll use dictation. Instead of typing this out, I'll speak really fast. Okay, great. Update the feedback so that it's in an email so I can copy and send it directly to the creator. That way I don't have to massage your feedback into an email. Start by thanking the creator for the video, and then make sure everything is clear enough for him to adapt, or whoever to adapt and use. Leave a placeholder for the creator name and thank him for his time as well. So you can see it's like barely comprehensible for humans. I can't understand myself, but dictation is so good that I just shipped it. And you can rant to AI, you can complain to AI, you can talk for a really long time, and that can help a ton. Perfect. Now it's going to go draft an email. And we've got that right here. In the future, this is better. I'll be like, a little bit too long. Can you shorten it about 30%? You can see we can talk really fast. I can't even understand myself, but the dictation is perfect. Great. It's going to make it shorter. Then I'm going to have an email. The next thing is, well, I have this skill, right? And I've got these videos. What's going to happen for the next video? Am I going to paste the skill and have to give the same feedback? No. This is where the magic happens. I want to compound my knowledge and my skills. Instead of having this generic skill that we got from archive that's quite helpful, I want to make it my own. So I'm going to ask AI to help me iterate. This is way better. Nice email, looks good, looks great. I can copy and paste that or use an MCP server to go send that email. But now I'm going to ask that same conversation to do something a little bit meta. I'm going to ask it to update my skill. Okay, great. Update the text of my prompt and skill so it always outputs this format as an email in the first shot, and then I can reuse it in the future for the product campaign. Put it in code block so it's easy to copy. Great. what's happening now is that Gemini has the context of the whole conversation. So Gemini knows that I used the skill. Gemini knows that it did something. Gemini knows that it went back and forth with me. And now I'm asking Gemini to be clever and think about how to get the job done in one shot. One shot means in one message, right? I don't want to go back and forth again with it. And boom, it updated my skill so that now I can use it in the future. So next time I have a video, I can go back to Gemini. I can paste my updated version. Oops, I didn't copy it. Copy the code, make a new version. And now if I did this again with that same video, there we go. It actually has the template at the bottom. I can rip it and it's going to do the email from the get-go. So this is how easy it is to train your AI to improve your skills. You have a conversation and you're going to workshop with AI, and then you're going to literally ask it to update the skill. It's that easy. Then you can save your skills. Then you can build systems of skills, but you can start there and it's nice and easy. Gemini's glitching a little bit, but that's what it is. One last small pro tip. There's a lot of copy pasting in AI. And if you ask it to put things in a code block, all those code blocks have little copy icons. It works across Claude, ChatGPT. So if you literally tell it to put things in a code block for you, you'll have a really nice download or copy button and it'll make your life easier. That way you don't have this stuff to copy. Amazing. We did it. Next up, UGC data analysis in Claude. Now, something that happens often is we have a bunch of data with our campaigns. We've got a bunch of posts, we've got a bunch of learnings, and we've got to go make a report. In the past, I don't even know how people made reports in the past, but now we obviously are starting to use AI for this. I'm going to walk through how we can use Claude Cowork specifically to make that easy. Again, I'm sure some of you have used Anthropic's products, Claude, and most people are using chat these days. There's two new versions, Cowork and Claude Code. Very similar. Claude Code's a little technical, and Cowork is a more non-technical friendly version of it that still has the same power. I've got a project here where I've already configured my skills. If you go to creatorskills.archive.com, you can go see the instructions. And you can make your own skills, you can use other skills. But the main idea is that this conversation that I start here will have access to all of these great, let's find the Chrome tab, all of these great skills that we have here. So whenever you're doing creator marketing work, you can install these skills so that you have reply triage, you have campaign brief generators. The one that we're going to use next is going to be the UGC hook analyzer. So I'm going to search for UGC hook. And again, it's essentially a bunch of instructions to tell AI what to do and what to look for. Look for UGC data, site posts. Here's the framework for doing it, all that good stuff. It's a good framework for AI to follow. What I'm going to do is go to archive where I've got a campaign where I've got 1,000 posts. And I can download those via CSV right here, which I already have. I've got 1,000 posts via CSV, whatever data set you want. Could be a spreadsheet, could be something else. We've got the data, and we're now going to go use the skill. Now, because I've configured the skills, I don't need to copy and paste the skill before. I can just tell it to use the skill here, use the skill, UGC hook skill, and I'm going to upload the data set into here and run it. And once you have the skills connected, you can even use / commands to make it easier to pull them up. Just a little bit of workflow improvements and make your life easier. As you can see, I used Sonnet 4.6. If you use any of these tools, you'll see Gemini has a pro and a not pro mode. ChatGPT has a couple different models. And Anthropic has Opus, Sonnet, and Haiku. Opus is the smartest one, but it's a little bit more expensive. You'll run out of tokens and a little bit slower. Sonnet's in the middle, and Haiku is fast and cheap. I'm using Sonnet here just so we can move a little bit faster. Drew asked, can the skills be installed into Gemini or ChatGPT without copy pasting? Let's go back to my slide here with the different versions. ChatGPT projects in chat do not support skills. Skills work with these new harnesses and new ways of using AI. Cowork and Codex. Cowork is from Claude. Codex is from ChatGPT. So Drew, if you actually use Codex, you can install the skills as well. It's super easy. It's the same thing. But you need to use the Codex application from ChatGPT that will use the ChatGPT models. And then you can use the skills. I'm not sure that Gemini has a way to load up skills yet. I do not use Gemini that often on the day-to-day, but if you're not sure, you can ask AI. It knows a lot of these things. Great. So this is doing our analysis. It's reading for quite some time. And I'll give it another second or two. If there are questions, let me know. It's like the inevitable situation when you're using AI, you're waiting for it to do. A lot of people are going on social media, watching TikToks and stuff, which is really good for us because that means that while everybody is doing AI, there's going to be a lot more people on short form video platforms. And therefore, we're all going to be much more successful with creator marketing. Jason, can you drop in the 2 GitHub link skills? Yeah. All right, we've got some stuff. And then Jake, I'll answer your question. Great. We've got a hook pattern. The highest engagement is a reel that's got 6,000, views here. We've got some routine stuff. We've got a bunch of stuff, value prop ranking. So this is pretty detailed and it's still going on. So you can see there's a lot of valuable things in here. Okay, this is a very long analysis. I'll answer Jake's question. Why don't I use Gemini that much when 90% of influencer output is video? Number one, as CEO, most of my work is cross-functional, and therefore not a lot of my day-to-day is actually working with influencers and their videos. So that's a little bit of a different setup and configuration. The second thing, Jake, I have seen so much productivity gains by using Claude Code, which now people can use as Claude Cowork. And because my productivity there is so much better with skills and ways to use it, it makes it really hard for me to go use Gemini that doesn't have that setup as well. Oftentimes, I will use Claude to actually delegate to other models as well and build tools if I want to analyze video. So hopefully that answers the question. Okay, great. Key takeaways. We got to lead with taste for green apple. Awesome. But this is a very thorough analysis. The next thing I'm going to do is, this is too long. What kind of report is this, right? Am I going to send this to someone on my team and they're going to read a bajillion words? No. One of the great things that Claude can do, or any model now, is create what's called artifacts. You can create PDFs, you can create HTML pages, all kinds of things. So I'm going to guide it a little bit, make a 1-page launch brief to share with the team, top 5 hooks to give creators, top 3 value props, and some example talking points. We'll go send that over and let it work.
Reminder, if you got any question at all, feel free to put it in the chat or the Q&A. And I mean, even if it's not directly related to creator marketing, but anything related to AI, Paul is your man.
One of the nice things here is this report is really, really specific and dialed in for influencer marketing and UGC. And it saved me because I'm using the skill. And if we look at the skill, we can go look at some of the components here. It explains how to think about the analysis. It has some great best practices like remove posts with missing engagement data or irrelevant content. It's got some filtering. It talks about value props. It talks about segmenting by platform. Recommends a good format. The value of using skills is that instead of using a very generic tool that you're going to have to either type a ton to get up to speed or dictate a ton, you have a really great starting point with all of that context. Great. This is really cool. It's got a file that I can download. I can copy to clipboard. I can save it as an artifact. It'll save an HTML page, but it can create these really nice visualizations, and you can guide it. You can save these as templates. One of the things I don't like about this is that it's hard for me to share. Therefore, I'm going to convert it to a PDF. I'm going to stop this one right here, paste this prompt, and have it generate a PDF. One of the interesting things about working with Cowork or Claude Code is that instead of doing all of the work in the cloud, when you go to chat, it'll generate files in the cloud. When you use Cowork, it's actually integrated with your computer, which means that it can read files from your downloads folder. You can download things into it, but it can also go write things out. One of my favorite tricks is to actually ask it to put it in my downloads folder. So once it's done, I'll go do that, and then it'll be in my downloads folder. We got a question around Claude asking whether Claude can watch or extract hooks from ads library. Unfortunately, it cannot. There are a couple of problems there. Number one, Claude does not have capabilities to watch videos. And therefore, that is only something you're going to be able to do with Gemini. If you actually ask Claude to do it, it might pretend to do it, but it just doesn't have the capabilities to watch those videos. And that comes back to the importance of having taste and understanding why models are good for different things. All of these models are trained to be really optimistic and really helpful. So it might tell you, yeah, blah, 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 I tried this, and it might guess some hooks based on the copy, and you might be misled. But if you understand that the capabilities just aren't there, you can make an educated decision. Now, if I were you, I would look at Gemini to use this, and I would do it in 2 steps. The first thing is I would just go ask Gemini to go try. You can put it in a URL. However, Gemini will probably tell you, I can't go download all these files from Facebook ads library. There's different rules, restrictions. Some models are more chill than others. Therefore, what you could do is either use Perplexity, which has a great browser tool that will let you do that, to download all the videos, and then you can pass that over to Gemini. So sometimes if you decompose the problem, you can get away with the restrictions. You can use something like Manus. I'll share Manus AI is definitely going to let you go do that. And the other tool you can use is Perplexity browser or even Codex's browser now. And then once you have the data set, you can then throw that into Gemini to do the video analysis. All right, we've got our PDF. We can download it. And like I mentioned, we can say, can you put it in my downloads folder? There we go. I don't want to click download. It can go move it. And now we have a much nicer, hopefully, PDF that is not loading because AI tools are not perfect. Let's try to download it here. All right, I have a difficult time showing you this because of the screen share. Trying to move it. Okay. Given the glitch, I cannot show you, but there is a PDF version of this that I can now share with my team. Awesome. Those are the main things I wanted to cover. The key insights to remember, I'll go back to the deck before Q&A. A couple of important takeaways. Number one, treat these models as different tools that you should take initiative and agency towards testing them out, pushing the limits, and understanding what's going on. And really go build taste and nuance. Once you do that, you'll learn what you can say to each one and what they're going to be good for or what not. The second thing is try to push yourself to stay at the edge of these newer tools on top of the models. We've got the models and we've got tools on top of the models. And the more you use these tools, the more you're going to be able to get the most of these models and get even more work done more efficiently. Coworker codex, building your own skills, thinking about your own skills. It's just a new way of working. It can sound daunting and scary, but it's just like riding a bike or driving a car for the first time. Once you get the hang of it, it doesn't become crazy. And really, the only way to learn is to go try and do things, try to automate things. The beautiful thing is that when you're stuck, you can just have that convo with AI and be like, hey, I'm stuck. What's going on? What do I do next? Dictation as well. Please set up dictation. It's part of our onboarding at Archive. And we talked about Gemini for video reviews, and we talked about doing data analysis in Claude. Awesome. That's it on the screen share side of things. We can jump into Q&A for the last 10 minutes.
Cool. There was one question that Jake just put in there. He said the data set that informed the UGC analysis, was it from Archive? So I think the data set you used was, but is there a different way to pull that data?
Yep. With Archive, we're capturing all the UGC, all the tag posts, all the influencer content from these campaigns. We also transcribe the post, we summarize the posts, and we have all the metrics and engagement data, which makes it really easy to download that in a CSV and use Claude Code. So to that point, Jake, we talked about Gemini being the only video tool on the model side of things. Because Archive already transcribes the content and does a video summary, we can just go download that, and it's really high quality data. Rebecca asked if that is via API. Archive does have an API, but the way we did it was actually a super simple CSV export. I'll show you guys right here. Got to reload the page real quick. As you can see, we've got a post summary in here that can be used for analysis. We've got the full caption, the full transcript, and we can go download that via CSV, export CSV, which makes it really easy to do analysis without any APIs and anything. We do have an API, but this can be a lot easier to get going with.
See the question from Sadie.
Sadie, the way I think about it now is I try to have a project for every domain of work that I do, and each of those projects will have a few different skills. Last year, I would have a skill for writing my email. I would have a skill for managing my calendar. I would have a skill for preparing for my all hands meeting. Now, the way I work is with a slightly larger layer of abstraction. For example, I have a project which is built out in Claude Code, which is interchangeable with Claude Cowork. And in that project, one of them is personal productivity. That now has a couple of MCP servers to give it access to my calendar, to give it access to my email, and it can have access to read and write different tools. And it's also got a few different skills. It's got skills for my calendar management. It's got skills for email. It's got skills for a few things, which means that I can do all of my productivity work in that one project instead of going from one project to email, one project to calendar. And that's really amazing because now I can be like, hey, let's go work on my daily brief and go handle all my emails and all my calendar at once. And because there are dependencies between email and calendar, for example, for scheduling, it's really valuable to have that higher level project. So I wouldn't have one project for your entire workflow, but you could have a project for influencer sourcing to start. You could have a project for campaign management and a few different things. Instead of having a project for every single prompt, you can really increase the level of abstraction and work on bigger projects. Emma asked, do you have any experience leveraging the API-Fi Cloud connector to solve for web scrapes? Yes, there are a number of tools that are really great there. You can look at Bright Data as well. They have really good APIs. Nowadays, especially if you're using Claude Code, you don't even need that many tools. You can just go ask it to go study an API and use it. And that can be a really good way to enrich that data. If you're not using Archive and you don't have post summaries and transcripts in your data, then sure, you can use something like Bright Data as a good example to go stitch that all together and make that happen. That could be a good way to start. We've got a question around what tool combination do you recommend to go from internal and external research to actual ad angles and hook ideation? I would try two things, either Claude Code or Claude Cowork. If you are just starting off and haven't used Terminal before or haven't used some of these tools, I'm going to take a step back actually, because that has changed since last week. So the question is, what is the right tool combination to go from internal research, external research, and hook ideation? I would either use Claude Cowork or Codex. Codex has gotten really good. I would make a project. And in that project, I would start off by doing some external research. Hey, go check out this, go research this. Hey, here's a CSV with things I exported. You have all of the research in one place. Then you can do your internal research and bring that in. So your project has the external research, the internal research, and then you can tell it to reference all of that research to do the next work. And that's going to be really productive. You have all of your material at once, your external material, your internal material, and then you can have it reference all of that. And AI is going to be really good at going to poke in those different files, and it's going to be great. Highly recommend that. The other thing you can do is connect MCP servers to your Facebook ads account, for example, to go pull in some data. Meta just launched a new MCP integration there, which means that you can connect your MCP server to that same project to go fetch that data, and every week you can run it. And that's the other cool thing. Because it saves everything in files, you can come back week over week. And you can say, hey, last week we tried these two hooks. Go get the latest performance data, and let's come up with some even newer hooks based on the research, the latest performance data, and some new ideas that we have today. Do you have any concerns with confidentiality with Claude Cowork? I do not. There are really strong enterprise licenses with Claude Cowork that I feel quite good about these days that do not give me any concerns in terms of Claude using that data. It is true that Claude is generally using patterns to train their models, but that's happening regardless. And it's happening in a way that is not using our data in a way that's going to be that competitive. Claude's not looking at our data to say, hey, oh, what, which influencers do they pay and how much, who's Ketone IQ's best influencers. But they are using the data to see how are influencer marketers, how are CEOs doing work within Claude, and how can we automate that further? That's happening. These labs are hiring people on an hourly basis to literally go through applications. They're spending thousands of dollars per applications to see how people are using everything from Uber to Salesforce to HubSpot so that they can automate these manual workflows. The labs want to create these intelligence agents that can go do big human level work tasks. And what that means for all of us is that we need to stay at the fringe of using these models so that we can continue to get the maximum amount of leverage. We need to understand what these models can do, what these models can't do, let the models do the stuff that they can do, and we do the stuff on top of it, building these projects, building these skills, spending more time on strategy, and all of the things that they can't do yet. So it's really important to ride the wave. And the more you are using AI in your day-to-day, the more you will build intuition for what's possible, the more successful you will be in your AI projects, and the more leverage you're going to get from these AI tools And the less you're going to worry that, hey, AI is going to take my job. AI is going to do this. AI is going to replace this. It will if you don't learn how to use it, but it's fun. It's interesting. It can get rid of all the menial stuff. Therefore, I highly recommend everyone to have extremely high level of urgency for adopting these tools. Great.
Cool. All right. Well, that wrapped up perfectly. Paul, thanks so much. That was great. Always a great lesson in learning from you. So appreciate it. And like I mentioned to everybody, thanks again for joining us today. I'll send out a recap, the full recording, if you want to quickly snap this, but I also put the links in to our creator skills. I'll also include that in the email tomorrow. And we'll be doing these kinds of webinars once or twice a month. So I'll make sure all of you are on that list. And yeah, hope to see you again in an upcoming webinar.
If you have ideas for things you want to learn with AI, shoot me an email, paul@archive.com, and we'll try to cover it in future webinars. Again, it's paul@archive.com. Appreciate everyone and hope this was helpful.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Have a great rest of your week. See ya.